Hello everybody, Dan from Frontline MCOC here, back with another champion review. As a member of the Marvel Contest of Champions Content Creator Program, I was granted early access to a 5-star, rank 3, signature level 200, Silver Surfer for the purposes of this review. I do not get to keep the champion, and he has already been removed from my account. So I've got some gameplay footage for you to watch here as I talk through the review and how to play Silver Surfer. I did record footage of him without any synergy teams, and then I tried a few different synergy teams because I think we've definitely gotten some requests for people to see how he was without some of the synergies, and then I was just playing around with different synergies to see what was most effective. So, Silver Surfer, he's been teased for a year and he has finally arrived. So we know that means only one thing: Galactus is on his way. But before the Devourer of Worlds arrives in the Battle Realm, we finally get his most famous herald as a playable champion to close out the 5th year of Marvel Contest of Champions. So everyone was super excited for Silver Surfer, and unfortunately, as you've probably already heard and seen, Silver Surfer is a bit of a letdown. By every metric that I use to judge a champion, Surfer unfortunately falls short. In recent months, we've seen some absolutely gorgeous works of art released into the game, like Sunspot, Mysterio, Warlock, Clairvoyant, Man-Thing, Arcus, Guillotine 2099. The list goes on, and Surfer just doesn't look like he belongs in the same game as those champions. He looks amazing in the promo art, he looks amazing as an avatar, but once you get him into the actual fights, I don't think he looks that great. He lacks the shine, the detail, and those eye-catching extras that we've come to expect from MCOC champion design in 2019. When it comes to the playstyle, he's not very fun to play because you have to time everything perfectly during his ramp up. And if you make one mistake, it all falls apart and you have to restart. You have to constantly watch the Power Cosmic buff and the rotating icon in the top left-hand corner of the screen, which can be distracting, and it leads to mistakes because you're not watching the opponent. This makes for a frustrating and anxiety-producing gameplay experience, at least in my case. When you get into the actual gameplay, I know people have been saying Silver Noodle and whatever, but the damage isn't actually that bad. It's not as bad as people initially feared, given that you do have the right synergies and you know the rotation to use. But it's not really worth all the effort either, especially given how stacked the Cosmic class is. I mean, there's absolute monsters in the Cosmic class. We've got Corvus Glaive, Captain Marvel movie, Medusa, Venom the Duck, and Hyperion. And the average summoner is going to have a much better time. It's going to be more rewarding and straightforward for them to play Venom, Angela, OG Thor, OG Captain Marvel, Carnage. And if you're looking for difficult ramp-ups, Proxima Midnight at least has a huge payoff with ridiculous damage at the end. So, in all, I don't even think Silver Surfer is a top 10 Cosmic Champion right now in the game. Now, he does have a bit of utility, but unfortunately, again, it's pretty niche at this point. Freezer Burn's been brought up a lot. That is one place where he does excel, but there are plenty of other champions that can take Freezer Burn for you. Sunspot, Clairvoyant, Human Torch, Colossus, and Mephisto, to name a few. They can handle Freezer Burn. Summoners are already ranking up those champions, and all those champions have more utility, and they're all more sustainable than Silver Surfer, too. Bottom line, when I'm looking at ranking up a champion, I want ones that can solve problems. And other than Prestige, Silver Surfer doesn't solve many problems, and the ones that he can solve, we already have better options for. So that's it for the editorial part of the review. I'm going to show you some more videos, and I'm going to jump into the champion guide section. All this is going to be posted on Frontline MCOC on a page on my blog, and I will make sure that there is a link in the description of this video if you found this on YouTube, where you can go and read everything I'm talking about here. So getting into the gameplay. What's key about Silver Surfer is that, like a lot of other Cosmic Champions, He is all about stacking up as many buffs as possible. Simply put, Surfer gets more powerful the more buffs he has, so you want to do everything you can to maintain as many buffs on him as you can at all times. It all starts with the Power Cosmic buff. This buff is active at the start of the fight, and consuming it with a heavy attack or a special one allows Surfer to generate whichever buff is shown in the rotating icon. The heavy attack generates 1 copy of the buff, and the special one generates 2. Once consumed, the Power Cosmic buff returns in 9 seconds, but that goes down to 6 seconds with the Hulk or Doctor Strange synergy. The rotating icon cycles between 3 buffs that you could trigger: Power Rate, Fury, and Armor Up. For example, if you throw a special one and the Power Rate symbol is shown in the rotating icon, that's the buff that's going to activate. The next time you throw a special one, and if you trigger a different buff, you get that new buff, and you're going to refresh the other buffs that are still active. Refreshing buffs is key to keeping up Surfer's damage. The heavy attack has a few uses for Silver Surfer. In addition to allowing Surfer to generate a buff from the rotating icon, it also allows Surfer to phase, causing the opponent to miss for 1.1 seconds. For each buff that is active on Silver Surfer, he deals an additional burst of energy on each hit. This scales with base attack only. So, simply put, the more buffs you have up, the more energy damage you're going to be doing every time you make contact and hit the opponent. For additional utility, Silver Surfer places an armor break debuff on the opponent when consuming the Power Cosmic buff. Additionally, if at least 3 unique buffs are active when throwing a special one, a new Vigilance buff is activated, and this allows Silver Surfer to bypass enemy miss abilities for the next 12 seconds. Finally, Silver Surfer takes 100% less damage from Shock, Cold Snap, and Incineration debuffs. And these debuffs count towards his buff total, so they do boost his attack. But these immunities do not apply to passive effects, and I'm going to get into that in the pros and cons. As far as the signature ability, it's pretty simple. It simply boosts the potency of each of his buffs. And as Silver Surfer is all about getting as many buffs as possible, and he doesn't do too much without active buffs, his signature ability is really important to his damage. I was testing him at Sig 200, so I don't really have feedback on what he'd be like unawakened, but playing him unawakened would make me really nervous. As far as using items like an Awakening Gem or Signature Stones, though, I wouldn't do it unless having high prestige is your priority, because as we know, he is the highest prestige champion in the game right now. As far as team building, you're going to want to bring Hulk or Doctor Strange. They're an absolute must if you're going to play Silver Surfer to get the quicker refresh on the Power Cosmic buff and to build him up quicker. If you're going to go full on Silver Surfer, you're going to want to look for synergy teams that will extend his buff duration or buff potency. The Cosmic Supremacy team with Black Bolt, Ronan, Kamala Khan, that's one possibility. You can go with Captain America Infinity Wars Cosmic Synergy team with OG Marvel, Captain Marvel, Thor and Gamora. Or you could go with Heimdall's Lost Daughters of Asgard synergy with Hela and Angela. As far as Masteries, Silver Surfer doesn't have any natural healing abilities, but he can heal from the Willpower Mastery, as he doesn't take damage from those Shock, Incinerate, or Cold Snap debuffs. As you need to spam the special one to get his buffs ramped up, and he isn't Bleed or Poison immune, he isn't ideal for the Suicide Masteries. As far as an Alliance War Defender, he doesn't appear to have much value as an Alliance War Defender, as his specials are easy to dodge, and he has no evade or auto block mechanics. Any Mystic with Nullify or Fate Seal, such as Symbiote Supreme, Doctor Strange, Mephisto, Clairvoyant, or even Hood or Jane Foster, are going to make short work of Silver Surfer on defense. Getting into his special attacks. All of Silver Surfer's special attacks will pause the Power Cosmic buff cooldown, his rotating icon, and all active buffs for the duration of the special. That's actually really nice because it allows you some additional refresh time there. The special one, this is used during the build-up. It's used to activate and refresh Silver Surfer's buffs. If the Power Cosmic buff is available, it's going to consume the buff, create 2 copies of the buff from the rotating icon, assuming that buff is not already active. If there are at least 3 unique buffs active on Silver Surfer at the time, he's going to gain a new Vigilance buff, which as I talked about earlier, that's going to bypass the enemy miss abilities for 12 seconds. The special 2 is the go-to for the big damage. You want to wait until he has his buffs active to launch the special 2. If he has at least 3 active unique buffs, he's going to go unblockable for the next 4 seconds. The special 3 is used to increase the effectiveness of Silver Surfer's buffs. It will re-trigger the active buffs and increase the potency of the Fury, Armor Up, and Precision buffs by 25%, for 24 seconds via an aptitude buff. Each aptitude buff also increases the power rate buff potency by 25%. Alright, so that's the basics of how his mechanics work. Let's get into the pros and cons. As I talked about earlier, Silver Surfer, he's the highest prestige 5-star and 6-star champion currently in the game. So if prestige is must-have, then you want Silver Surfer ranked up and at max sig. He is a valid option for the Freezer Burn node. In fact, this is probably the best place to play him, as the debuffs are going to increase his damage, and if you're running willpower, it's going to heal him. He's also a valid Iceman and Wasp counter, since he's not going to take damage from Shock or Cold Snap. The Vigilance buff does offer the ability to counter miss champions, but it does take a while to gain access to, and I don't think you're going to want to play him versus Ebony Maw, who's the miss opponent that I worry about the most. Finally, he does have potential usefulness on map 7 paths like Freezer Burn, Buffed Up, and Tunnel Vision, but likely he's going to cost you some potions. Now, as far as his cons, Silver Surfer requires extensive synergies with other champions, not well suited to endgame content to be at his best. Even fully ramped up, the damage does not feel like it is worth the effort and requires flawless play or it all falls apart. He requires a high-end skill set to play, similar to Dr. Octopus or Ghost, but without the big payoff that those champions provide. The heavy attack is crucial to his rotation, but it is one very short hit, which makes it very limiting in stun immune situations. There are many nodes, especially in Act 5 and beyond, that will alter fight timing and make it very difficult to properly maintain Silver Surfer's buffs. If you need the opponent to throw a special and they're being stingy, it can throw off your timing and you might lose all of your buffs. Silver Surfer's immunities are not actual immunities. He simply takes 100% less damage from Shock, Cold Snap, and Incinerate debuffs. So if you get in a situation where a node is boosting the damage of the debuff, he will still take damage. Furthermore, since he's not truly immune, he's still going to take damage from passive effects like the EMP Shock node and Mephisto's Aura of Incineration. Silver Surfer's only healing is via the Willpower Mastery, and there are only a few situations where you can gain a Cold Snap, Incinerate, or Shock debuff without actually taking a hit in the process. He's just not a very sustainable champion. Unless prestige is a concern, there are just too many other exceptional cosmic champions out there vying for your cosmic class specific rank up resources. And finally, he's just terrible for buffet nodes in any situation where his buffs are going to be automatically removed. As far as pro tips, like I said earlier, you got to have OG Hulk or Doctor Strange on the team when you're playing him. And your rotation is going to depend largely on fight length and the opponent's health pool. If it's a shorter fight, You may just want to heavy a few times, build up to the special 3, then throw a special 2, and that will end the fight. In longer fights, you're going to want to use the special 1 a couple times, build up to the special 3, and then finally launch the special 2 when you're fully ramped up and you can maximize his damage. All right, everyone, that is it for me. That is my complete review of Silver Surfer. Thanks for sticking with me. Link to this whole review is in the description of this video. I hope you'll check out that and some of the other content on Frontline MCOC. I will be back in January with more champion reviews. We know Squirrel Girl and Nova are entering the contest in January. We just don't know which one is first. I am super excited for both of those champions, and I just really hope that they make more of an impact than what we're seeing from Silver Surfer so far. All right, so thank you so much, and I will talk to you all on the next one. Bye.